Hello, everybody, and this is the pilot episode of Ponder on This. This is going to be a place where we can get to know our fellow ponders a little bit better. So, joining me on this pilot episode is the creator of Across the Pond, Entanglement, aka The Instigator. How are you doing, En?
Not bad, thanks. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. Just looking forward to doing this. We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks, so let's finally get the recording started.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Should be interesting getting to know you, and then obviously when we start bringing in guests and stuff like that, should be cool.
Yeah, it should be good. So tell us a bit about how you grew up and where you came from.
I'm never good at these kind of questions. So my parents are from Bangladesh, and most of my siblings. So I've got six siblings, and four of them were born in Bangladesh, and then my parents came here in sometime in the 80s, and they had my brother, and then they had me. So I'm the youngest of six, and I was born in Bradford, which is like 2 hours away from where I'm currently living.
Yeah.
I don't even know what else to say, really. Yeah, pretty much spent all my life in Bradford until I was about 25, maybe 26, and then I did a bit of traveling and stuff, and then lived in America for a little bit, and then came back, and now I'm currently in Stoke. And for those who are listening, don't ever go to Stoke. I've said this a bunch of times. Horrible place. How about you?
I've just a sure thing on Stoke. The only time I've ever been anywhere near Stoke is to go to Alton Towers, which for our American friends is like a big theme park that's quite popular in the UK. So I've never actually been to Stoke.
I've actually never been to Alton Towers, Is it
Really?
Is it any good?
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. It's really good.
Cool. How about you? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, well, come from a big family. Just my mum's side. My mum and dad split up when I was really young. Me and my brother. I've got a younger brother who's, well, makes me feel old. He's 43 now. So there's two of us. Mum and dad split up, and I was brought up by my mum and my mum's family. So always spent a lot of time with my grandmother as well, who was really, really close to. Lived with her for most of my life. Although I was always close with my mum as well. So huge family, quite working class, quite poor, but always loved and always made sure we had food on the table. But obviously we never had a lot of money for gifts and stuff like that. But good childhood, Irish background, yeah.
I feel kind of like, if I think about it, right, because I'm the youngest in my family, and I think my oldest brother is about maybe late 40s, maybe even 50s, and I'm like, yo, my siblings are really old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, then there is times when I feel young in myself, but sometimes I will like lay there at night if I can't sleep, and then I'll think, oh my God, in 6 years I'm going to be 50. I'm going to be quarter of a century, and then it washes over me for a few seconds, and then just goes, and then I just feel young again.
Yeah, that's the best part. As long as you mentally feel young, it's fine.
Yeah, it's just the mentality.
I still feel like I'm 18 now sometimes. But like, what's crazy for me is my niece recently just got engaged, and she's 3 years younger than me. So like, when I look at all my nieces, because I've got loads like nephews and nieces, and
yeah,
they're like 20, 18, 21, and then I've got obviously younger nieces and nephews as well. But it's like just crazy thinking about they're graduating uni and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got a lot of aunties and cousins, uncles, and some of my cousins now. I help raise them because I'm the eldest grandchild. My nan, who I was really close to, as I mentioned, she was one of six, like yourself, and my mum was one of six as well. So I was the oldest grandchild. I was the oldest nephew, sorry, oldest out of everyone, oldest of all my cousins. I'm like the eldest. So huge family. So my younger cousins, I was like 15, 16 when they were born. So I feel like I sort of helped raise them in some ways, because I live with my nan, and it was like a creche. It was like a kindergarten where people just like aunties and uncles just dropped the kids off, and my nan looked after them, and I lived there. So I had to help out. It wasn't a question of wanting to help out. It was just, it was my job to go and take him to school, go and pick him up from school, go make her a sandwich. It's just what I had to do.
Would you say you still like miss, like obviously now that you're all older, you don't really get to see each other, I'm guessing. So do you think you miss all that? Is it something that you're not too?
It's different. It's different, isn't it? I think if social media wasn't a thing, I probably would. But you tend to stay in touch with people, don't you? Or they just see things you're posting.
Mm.
It's like, it's weird now, I think, when you bump into like an old school friend or something, because you know a lot of things that's happening in people's life because you've saw it all on Facebook. So the conversations you need to have with people now when you meet up, if you haven't seen them for a good few years, it's not very long, because you pretty much know anything big that's happened in their life.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so it's the same with family. Like, obviously, a lot of stuff you get tagged in photos, and if there's a picture of the baby, that's quite good. I'll tag all my aunties and uncles in it, and Lisa's family. So you tend to know what people are up to.
Yeah.
And I think technology in the lockdown has been brilliant as well. And we had a weekly family Zoom quiz that was quite good. So it's made us all try and stay in touch, sort of, even though it's been electronically, we've all stayed in touch. How about yourself?
I don't really keep in touch with my family because we've had a bit of problems, but I'll occasionally talk to them now and then. I don't know, like I think we used to be really close growing up, but as we got older, we kind of drifted apart. I think it's just one of those things, isn't it? It happens, sometimes it doesn't. Plus, they're all in Bradford as well, so I don't have a car. And plus we're in lockdown right now, so I can't really go back to Bradford anyway, even if I wanted to. So
yeah,
it's a bit strange. So like when I was saying my niece got engaged, I think 2 days ago now,
yeah.
I literally couldn't see it. I couldn't even go to it because they're on tier 3 lockdown, so I can't even go over there. But yeah, they show me pictures and stuff. So like you were saying, that social media and like WhatsApp and things like that definitely help out, because you get to see so much things that maybe you wouldn't have seen. This was like 20 years ago, unless they're sending you letters. And
I think it's quite funny as well how you mentioned earlier that like you're in Bradford and sorry, you're in Stoke and your family are in Bradford. It's like we consider, like me and you would consider that really far away.
Yeah.
Well, like if it really, it's like maybe like an hour and a half in the car, which.
Yeah, cool.
For our American friends, that they'd be thinking that's really close.
Yeah,
That's like something that you do easy, but obviously what we consider far away and what our American friends would consider far away are two completely different things, because America's so vast, isn't it?
Yeah, true. Plus, like,
It's funny.
I feel like the longer the distance is in America, it's all like straight roads mostly, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel as long. Like when I used to like travel around in America, it doesn't feel as long because everything's just a straight road. Whereas over here, you got twists and turns and roundabouts and.
I remember getting there. Me and my friends come over in 2006, and we went traveling around America for a month, and we got a train from Chicago to New York. And on the map, Chicago to New York doesn't look that far, but obviously I'm going. It's the scale, obviously, not when you see an English map, and London to Liverpool is like it's only like 4 hours away. This train was a 24-hour train. It had stops and stuff, but it was a 24-hour train. I was like, oh my God, I've got to be on this train for a whole day.
How did you manage that then? Did you like sleep on the train and everything as well, and just get food?
Well, we did that one, but when I say the seats on the train were really comfortable, and you could recline them a little bit, and they turn the lights off at night. But there was people who they had train carts as well, like sleeper carriages where they turned into beds and stuff. But we never done that. We were traveling on a budget for a whole month, so we were just like deciding. We got these train passes that were about maybe £1,000, and we were just picking places we wanted to go and trying to get there.
That sounds really.
We actually flew into Toronto, crossed the border at Niagara Falls, and then we started, because our train passes were for America. We couldn't use them in Toronto. So as soon as we got into America, we We went to Chicago, Boston, Washington, a few other places, and we just went around traveling for a month. It was amazing. It was really good.
How long were you spending in each location?
Maybe like 3 or 4 days. But we love New York, so we spent maybe like a good 10 days of the. So it was like probably a third of the whole time there was in New York because there's so much to do there. We probably had a couple more days in Chicago, Washington, Boston, probably about 2 or 3 days. Went to Buffalo, New York as well, just because I love Buffalo. We were like, I love buffalo wings. Let's just go to Buffalo. We stayed there. We stayed there a night to play football and stuff.
Yeah.
Really good trip.
I've been to a lot of places in America. I've been to Texas, New York, Philadelphia, obviously, Atlanta, Georgia, Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, I haven't been to the South. That's one place I would like to. One place in America would still like to go to. I'd like to go to Texas, Atlanta. I'd really like to go there as well. I've only ever been really Chicago and a lot of East Coast cities because I've done Camp America 97 to 99 in the summers. So we used to have days off. We'd go to cities in the East Coast. So we went to Philly, Pittsburgh, New York, Boston. Went to Rhode Island, a few other places. Anywhere you could realistically drive when you had a day off. We used to finish work the night before the day off. You'd finish work and then we'd start driving. And normally we'd drive to like midnight, get a hotel, and then we'd have the whole next day in the city we chose. So it used to be good. So tell me more about, like, obviously I think we're all fascinated with America. I think in England with all the films and music and stuff. What was your first influences of America?
Definitely the movies, like Back to the Future and then like Disney movies. There's a lot of Disney movies as well. And
yeah, we were talking about that yesterday.
I definitely wanted to go like to Disney World and Disneyland at the time. I still haven't been yet, so that's one of my bucket lists. It's definitely a thing that I want to do. And then I don't know, I just find for me, like, Americans are very welcoming for me, and everybody's like not afraid to like be expressive, and like, it is kind of crazy, but at the same time, like, I like that because I feel like a lot of UK people are a bit more reserved.
Yeah,
I like the contrast. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think I pretty similar, like movies and stuff. When I was a kid, I think like anyone, we have our English shows we love, but anything that was semi popular in America would come over here, wouldn't it? And the Back to the Future, Karate Kid, Ghostbusters. And funny, the first time I ever done Camp America, 97, I was 21. And that was my first time ever on an airplane. We'd only ever been to holidays in Britain. First time ever on an airplane, Manchester to New York. And we had one day in New York before the camp counselors from the camp I was going to work on picked us up, and we went sightseeing. And I was like, that's out of Ghostbusters. That's off this film. That's off that film. It was the best day of my life, finally getting to America, finally getting to New York. I've always been fascinated with New York, and now I've been there, I still think it's an amazing city. I think Chicago is my favourite, what I call an American city, because in New York, I found everyone was Australian, European, African, Indian. Everyone who served you would be from somewhere else, taxi drivers. Yeah. But Chicago was a proper American city, I thought. Like, that's exactly what I expected an American city to be like. And obviously, with the music side as well, when I was young, I loved like the pop music, Michael Jackson, and the English pop music.
Yeah.
Wham, all these, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. But I always remember one of my aunts bought me Beastie Boys' first album. And it was an actual album. It was like The Needle, playing that record over and over. And then there was a guy a few years older than me in my neighborhood, and he said, if you like the Beastie Boys, you need to listen to Run DMC. And I was like, who's that? And he spelled it out for me. And when I saved up my pocket money, and when I bought a Run DMC album, and then that was game over. It's just, since then, that was my music. And then a couple of years after that, I don't know, you'll hear the De La Soul, their 3 Feet Higher and Rising album come out. And today, that's my favourite album still.
Oh, okay.
So I like Oasis. Obviously I like the Beatles. I'm from Liverpool, so I like the Beatles. But R&B, rap has always been my music from like 9, 10 years of age.
Mm.
So just grew up with it.
Mm.
So from De La Soul, NWA, LL Cool J, they all came out pretty similar times. So that's all I listened to. When I left junior school, which for our American listeners is like 7 to 11 years of age, and went to high school, which over here at the time would have been 11 to 16. My high school, what they tried to do, they tried to put you in a class with the people you went to junior school with. But I went to a Catholic high school first and hated it because it was like 6 miles away from my house. So I cried and cried to my grandmother and my mum to let me go to the local high school.
Yeah.
And that was like multicultural inner city school. So I went there, and my Catholic junior school was called St. Finbarr's, and they said we can't put you in there because it's all full. There's no space for any more students. And they asked me, do you know anyone else who goes to this school apart from your peers who you went to junior school with? And I had a friend called Billy who was in my football team, my soccer team, and they said, okay, we'll put you in the class with Billy. So I went in the class with Billy, and then a lot of people who were in my class, it was like the class out of Sister Act 2. It was just like a melting pot of races and religions. It was just white, Chinese. We had a lot of refugees from the Gulf War in my school come over so it was like 1991. So we had a lot of Afghans, Iraqis, so all come over, and it was just like a melting pot. And I'm so glad it was like that, because before that I hadn't really mixed with other religions really.
Yeah.
And we all started going to school together, and then just through chatting, you'd be chatting about music and stuff like that. And then it just started listening to all different kinds of music that friends would recommend to me who went to school with. If you listen to this album, and I was the same with them. I'd be like putting them on to listen to this wet album. They'd be listening to the like pop music and stuff. So I really liked that I went to a multicultural school in the end. I'm glad I never stayed in the Catholic school.
Oh, that's cool. My experience in music, a lot of my music taste, I think, came from my older brother, and he would listen to a lot of like hip hop, R&B, sometimes reggae. So like we used to drive around in my brother-in-law's car, and he used to play Zim Zimmer all the time, and we used to just drive around. I used to play that all every single time. I didn't know what they were talking about, but I used to just sing it as well because it sounded cool. And then I used to play a lot of like video games, and in the background my brother's playing all these Pras. Sometimes I play 112. Biggie would come on, Tupac would come on. So many different artists. And as I grew up, when we started getting the computer and stuff like that, he would have all these songs like downloaded onto the computer, because he'll buy like CDs and stuff, and he'll burn them onto the computer. So I'd be listening to him. Yeah, so I'd be listening to him. Exactly.
LimeWire.
Yeah. So as I got a bit older, and I noticed that you can download them from like LimeWire, and I used to download all of them. I had all the applications to download music, and it would just be a lot of like hip hop and R&B. And then I think as I got a bit older, when I was about 11 or 12, I started listening to like more R&B, and there used to be a website called R&B for You, and I used to just listen to a whole bunch of like underground artists and stuff, and I would go onto LimeWire, download a whole bunch of stuff, and I'd listen to it for hours, try to find what's a good song, and if I didn't like it, I'd delete it, and I'd do that for the whole day, and I used to love doing it. And then I'd come into school the next day and I'd play all these songs to my friends, and we'd all be like dancing and stuff, and it was really cool. But I realized as I got older, I just couldn't be bothered doing that anymore, because it took so much time. Like you have to down, plus, half the time you'd hear that whole Bill Clinton speech about having sexual relations with that woman and things like that. It just put me off. So I stopped doing it, and then there's viruses as well. But yeah, that's what my music was, and then I think it just carried on really. Like a lot of my favorite songs were like 90s music. I love a lot of 90s R&B. Like Jagged Edge and 112.
I'd agree with that.
Jagged Edge and 112, and Next and things like that would be like what I'd go to.
Yeah, a lot of my favorite movies from the 90s is obviously when I come of age. So what 1990 I would have been 14.
Mm.
Obviously finished the decade 24, but in that 10 years I've obviously become an adult, and me first traveling to America would have been in that time. I remember the first year I went to America. It
Mm.
was when obviously Big had died. So that "I'll Be Missing You," that was like my summer. That was the summer song for the
Yeah.
whole summer. The first year I done Camp America, and it was there. I remember being on Times Square when finding out Princess Diana had died, and on the billboards in Times Square. That's how we found out in the middle of the night.
Mm.
It always sticks in my mind. Like that summer was just amazing. It was an amazing summer. It was like I was 20. I went to America at 21, so I was actually old enough to drink as well. And I definitely needed me ID because I did not look 21. I looked about 17. So it's that was probably my favorite ever summer. Just an amazing time.
I think I've been looking. So in the UK, obviously, you could drink at the age of 18 legally, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, and I've been looking 18 since the age of like 15, I'd say. So I'd be fine with that. And then
Yeah, I was definitely other end of the spectrum.
I came to the first time I actually traveled anywhere was Canada for my sister's wedding. She got married in Canada. So that was the first time I ever flew on a plane. And then the first time I actually went to America was, I think I was about 20 or 21, something like that. No, actually, so my sister, her husband worked in Detroit at the time. So when we went across to Canada, we drove all the way to Detroit. And yeah, that's why I got to see like 8 Mile and all that. And I'm like hype about it because, Eminem, and I watched the 8 Mile movie and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, this is actually cool. But then you look at the actual area and it's like, no, I don't want to, I don't want to go out and take pictures here because I don't know what could happen.
Yeah, I
Um,
think they done a fair representation of that area in the movie. It didn't look too nice,
yeah, and
like
then
burning
I,
out
I
the town
remember
and stuff.
I remember one thing, right? So I was with my family, and we had like relatives from Canada that was in the car with us, and we had one of those people carriers. So all the
Yeah,
adults decided, okay, we're gonna go outside shopping. You and the kids stay in the car, and you watch out for the kids. And it was a really hot day. I think it was like 100 degrees Fahrenheit, like 40 degrees Celsius. And so the doors were all wide open, and the kids started screaming, "Oh, they were part of the Bloods and the Crips." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, don't say that. Like, we could get shot and we'll die." And I was fuming with them. And when like the adults came back, I'm like, "Look, you're not leaving me with these kids anymore. I don't care." Yeah, that was a nightmare.
yeah. The innocence of youth. I think hopefully they know not to do that now.
Yeah, I hope so, because that was not fun.
So tell me about your working life, and obviously before from when you left school. What career path did you go down?
So mine is kind of strange, right? Because I didn't have enough official job until I was about 25. Like, I did work a little bit here and there when I was like 16. So my brother-in-law, and my family, they had like a laundry business. So they were basically commercial businesses, so like restaurants, hotels, things like that. So when I would have my half term, so when we would have holidays from school, I'd go and work there for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long the holidays were. And I used to hate it because if it's in the winter time, it's really cold. And they had no like heating in the building. The only heating you'd get was from the actual the mechanical iron that they got. And in the
Yeah,
winter, in the summer, when it gets really hot outside, there's no AC in the building, so you're getting uh, boiled to death by this machine. Yeah, so I hated that. So that was my first job, like properly job. And then again, I didn't work because I was at uni, our school. And luckily, I think that was the perk of having like a big family because everybody else would be working, so you didn't really have pressure to work. Um,
just sort of went under the radar.
yeah, so I kind of got away with just not working for a while. And then I started working at, so they've also got like a restaurant in Leeds. So I worked at the restaurant in Leeds for a little bit. And then after I graduated uni in 2015, I worked as, so when I was in America, I worked as a manager for a beer distribution company. And that was like the first time I ever had a job. outside of anything to do with my family. And it was a heavy graft because, you have to move things around and, a lot of manual labor. But I enjoyed it at the same time because I'm doing something that's not related to my family, and I kind of felt independent because I'm making my own money and things like that, and I was losing weight and I was gaining muscle, so there was that, and plus the weather was nice pretty much all the time. So I love that about like when I was working there, and when I came back to the UK again, worked in an office for the first time in my life. I realized there's office politics for the first time. I always thought that was like fake when you watch it on like movies and stuff, but it's a real thing, and I don't like it. I hate it.
I know all about that.
I hate it. And then after that, I think I worked there for like 5 months. After that, I moved to Leek for another job with another bank, and I've been there for 2 years. And then I recently just got made redundant, so I'm currently unemployed since end of May. Yeah, so that's been about it, I think. How about you?
When I left school, I done a lot of traveling. Done a couple. That sounds a bit strange. I've done a couple of expeditions to the Sahara Desert, Africa. I've done that in '95 and '99. A lot of traveling. I've done an aid mission with my best friend to Romania. So we went to orphanages in Romania, giving them medical supplies and school supplies. I've generally just done a lot of personal traveling as well, all around Europe. Started doing Camp America every summer, so I've done 97, 98, 99. In between these bits of traveling and doing expeditions, I'd be like taking odd jobs in like a Burger King or McDonald's, places like that. I worked on a factory my auntie worked in. When I finally settled back in Liverpool, it was 2000. And I was literally a day away from going in the army, but I only ever seen it as a job. And I'd done my test. I'd gone and done a physical test for a couple of days in a place, an army barracks. And I had my train ticket to move to Scotland on a Sunday night. And as I said, I only ever seen it as a job, so I was applying for other jobs. And I got a phone call on a Friday night offering me a contract with. At the time, it was the Inland Revenue.
Oh, okay.
We've got a job for you. 3-month contract. It could be extended. So I was like, I'm taking that. Told the army I weren't going no more. I'm still in that job now. Obviously, we're called Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs now. Sounds like something out of Game of Thrones. So, obviously, but for our American friends, I work for the government, basically. So my background for 20 years was in benefits, so we pay money to low-income families to try and get them back into work and help them with childcare. So we gave money to people. So we weren't technically, we were called the tax office, but we gave money to people. You weren't taking taxes off people. But because of Brexit, we've currently been retrained. So now I'm a customs officer. So it basically means when cargo comes in on a plane or on a boat, all the paperwork needs to be in order before it gets released. So we get the paperwork online. We have to check it all. And then if it all adds up, for all the right codes have been used for the different products, like if it's cooked chicken or it's Atlantic cod or if it's a CD, they've got to have certain commodity codes, we call them, that have to be used for certain products. We just have to check it all and then process them through. So that's pretty much, I've been there 20 years now, but I'm very recently now been doing this new job. So it's still a bit new, but it's all good. I'm enjoying working from home. I'm totally institutionalized to working from my bedroom now.
Nice.
As I think I've said before. I think you already know about that.
For those who don't know, HMRC, or Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, is basically like the IRS. So, like Mikey was saying, he doesn't really work as a taxman. I'm still gonna call him. I'm not a taxman. I've never been a tax. I'm not Erwin or Shyster, the wrestler. I'm always give money to people. So luckily, I've never had to do any of that, chasing people up for money and stuff. I'd hate to do that. Yeah, that does not sound fun at all.
No, I don't think I'd like to do that. So we're going to talk on now. Finally, and is online dating and how you met your partner. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I'd say 6 years ago now, so 2014, I was on an app called Meet Me, and basically I wasn't really looking to date anyone. I was just trying to find some friends because I was going through some stuff on a personal level, and I initially started looking at girls that were close to me, so like around Bradford or Leeds, and then that eventually went. I extended the range to Manchester, and then finally all the way to London. And I didn't really find anybody that was like, I guess, without being rude, nobody was like really catching my attention like that. Like I'd speak to a lot of people, and it just never went anywhere. And I remember this one time, Meet Me is normally a free app, and they've got like paid features that you can pay for. And there's a feature on it called World Passport or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but so usually that's a paid feature. And I got a notification saying that for this one day it's going to be free. And I decided, all right, why not give it a go? And the first time I pressed the button to look for someone around the world, that's basically what it did. It look for anyone around the world that's got the app. And that's where I met my missus. The first person that I talked to was my missus, which is kind of crazy because out of all the people in the world, the first person I find is her. And, we were talking for a few weeks, and I quickly decided, okay, I don't want to be on this app anymore, but I do want to keep talking to her. So we swapped details. We were texting a lot, and I'd say about 8 months later, I went to see her for the first time in Philadelphia, and it was great. Obviously, I was a little nervous, but one thing I realized was like it wasn't awkward. Like it just felt like normal. And yeah, since then, so like we've been together for 6 years now, but we've been married for 3 years. And she's currently in America. I'm in the UK. It's difficult, but also how do I explain this? It's a challenge, but also something that I know it's worth it because in the long run, we're not going to be like apart from each other for that much longer. So I know once we like actually together, we've talked about so many different things, and we know how we are and stuff like that. So it'll be cool. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited. So yeah, that's pretty much me. How about you?
I stayed away from online dating for years. Started off years ago. Me and my friends would go out drinking. You'd try and meet girls, and then they started getting taken one by one. And in the end, it was just like a handful of my friends who didn't have partners.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them didn't seem to want to settle down, but obviously I did, and I was well into my 30s. A couple of my friends were a little bit younger, and then my best friend said to me, "Why don't you just give online dating a shout? Because it's a great way to get to know people. You can get to know people who like the same music and like the same films." So I thought I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
So this like maybe it was like late 30s now, 38, 39. I had one bad experience where I got chatting to a girl, and she lived in Wales, so we agreed to meet in Chester, which is central for both of us.
Mm.
And when I met her, she was really intense. She was just like, stop checking your phone. I was quite nervous, so I was checking my phone. But Liverpool were playing at the same time, so I'm not going to lie, I was checking the scores as well. But she was like, "Get your phone away. That's so rude." And I'm just like, "I've only just met you." Yeah. She was like so intense, and then I was like, "Okay," and then I just needed to end the day to this. It was so awkward. So on the train home, it obviously didn't go well.
Yeah.
And she was like messaging me, asking if I wanted to stay in hers the next weekend because her mum and dad were going away.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, no, you're okay. I think I'd just rather be friends. And then she's pestering me with messages for a few weeks, and I thought, oh, this is a bit weird. I'm not into all this. And then I just persevered with it. And the next person I met was Lisa.
Mm.
So that's obviously where you were the first person you met. Lisa was the second person I met.
Mm.
So we had one date. At the time, my nan had died not long before. I was going through a few bereavement issues, and I was having panic attacks. So I'd had a few in work. And the first time I met Lisa, I had to ride out a panic attack. And I could tell how much I liked her, because it was like, I don't want her to think I'm weird. And I like literally rode out a panic attack in the Costa Coffee, having a coffee with her. And I rode it out, and then we had a good date, and then we arranged to have a second date on the following Friday night. Mm. And then we went for a lovely meal and a drink. And then it dawned on me when we were having our date. It was my nan's birthday.
Yeah.
And something, I just knew that night, something come over me. I thought, I want to marry this girl. I knew. So this is in the May. August, we moved in together. We got engaged in the October. So we've recently celebrated our third wedding anniversary, and we've been together like 5.5, 6 years. So not too much difference between meeting and marrying for me and you.
Yeah.
Obviously, Lisa's got another son from a previous relationship. He was 11 when I first moved in. He'll be 17. He'll be 17 in January. He's got his first interview for his first ever job on Saturday, phone interview for McDonald's.
Oh, nice.
So we're hoping to get to that. And we've got Teddy, who's 2. Who, obviously, you'll have all seen pictures of Teddy now. He's a little star.
Yeah.
So we've definitely been blessed. And I'm just so glad because I was thinking, I was almost 40 before I met Lisa. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm 10 years away from being 50 and I've got a good job, but I haven't got no one to share my life with. And then it all just happened. And I do believe in certain things. And I think my nan passing away and then me having the first date with Lisa on my nan's birthday, and it weren't planned. It was just like it was meant to be. But with Lisa's dad like paid for our wedding, organised it all, and then he died when I was on my stag night.
Yeah.
And he's been looking down and blessing us as well. And obviously we wanted a baby. We spoke about having a baby as soon as we got together. Like that's what we both wanted. Although we were coming into our 40s, we would like to have a child. And then Lisa's dad passed away a couple of months later. We were blessed with a baby. So do think that obviously there is people up there looking out for us. My nan and Lisa's father. So I do think they look out for us.
Yeah, that sounds sad, but also you've been blessed with so much.
Yeah, I do consider myself to have been usually blessed in the last few years to get me family.
Yeah.
I was looking for them for years, but finally got them now.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. If you're not looking, you just come across it, don't you? That's what I think anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
And then one thing that I was gonna say, because we've been asked this before by some of the girls in the ATP about, guys. He was saying you knew she was the one that you were gonna marry early on. A similar situation for me with my missus. I knew straight away because I remember one time I told her my mum was sick. If she was just like kind of under the weather, and then like a few days or a week or so later, she's better by now, and I completely forgot I told her that, and she was like, "How's your mum?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, why are you asking me this type of thing?" Like, I completely forgot. And she was like, "No, you told me she wasn't feeling well. How is she doing?" And now I think that kind of like pushed you over the edge, where I'm like, okay, she's definitely the one. Like, I'm not letting her go.
She's the keeper.
Yeah, so she's trapped with me now. I just keep telling her that. And when she finally does get here, I'm gonna obviously say, you come to our country and take all our jobs, and she's gonna get a lot of that. So yeah.
Been a good chat. Hopefully our fellow ponders will know us a little bit better now. That's the first episode of Ponder on This done and dusted. If you'd like to be a future guest, please let me and N know, and we'll try and sort out a recording. Until next time, stay safe, guys.